Hello, my name is Adam, and welcome back to Tools of the Trade, where today we'll be going over cable management. Now, Velcro strips aren't expensive, and they're lovely, especially when you buy them in a huge roll like this. I think we paid $15 for a huge pack of 100. Obviously, you don't need to go to that extreme, but it's a Velcro strap. Now, the reason why cable management matters inside of your gaming machine is that when you get a power supply that has a ton of extra cables like this, right? This is considered a non-modular power supply. One of the things that will happen is you have all these extra cables. You've got these cables just running every which way, and there's no way to maintain them. There's no way to control them. That is where cable management comes in. Because if those cables are blocking airflow, they're getting into fans, they're just in the way, then you definitely want to tie them out of the way. If they interrupt your airflow, you're not going to have good airflow, which means you're not going to get adequate cooling. If you don't get adequate cooling, then your components can't run at their best. So that is where you run into an issue if things aren't properly tied up. The other thing you can use is zip ties. Obviously, this is way cheaper than a reusable Velcro strap, but I prefer to use these because when it comes time to do upgrades, when it comes time to replace a power supply, when it comes time to do general maintenance, add a new hard drive, something along those lines, it's really nice just to be able to unvelcro that cable and be able just to put the cable in and revelcro it, as opposed to cutting a zip tie and putting a new zip tie in. And speaking of cooling, the next thing, I'll go ahead and clear my plate here, I'm going to talk about is what thermal paste should you use? Now, again, this is more for my tech related, techie audience. Thermal paste matters. You don't need to go to the silly extreme and use things like liquid metal. You really don't need to do that. Not unless you're doing some like really crazy extreme overclocking. Realistically, a tube of thermal paste that is, either from Arctic Silver. Arctic Silver thermal paste is some of the best that you can get on the market, and I've had really good success with a competitor from Protronics. It's their more expensive thermal compound, and this is fantastic. So the reason you want it, and at least you want something that's better than what you would get. This is garbage. Don't use this. This is not going to help you. It's going to break down. It's going to dry out. And once thermal paste dries out, it's going to be an insulator, and it's not actually going to help you stay cool. It won't transfer heat. So yeah, definitely pick up some Arctic Silver. Again, solid. Has been in the past. Fantastic stuff. And then we're having really good success with this as well. Again, both will be linked in the description. So the other thing you might be asking is like, well, hey, that's great. You've got your CPU cooling. You just pick your proper cooling solution, and then you pick your proper thermal paste. You slap it on, and you're done, right? Well, kind of, because your CPU isn't the only thing that eventually has the thermal paste start to break down. Your video card is the same way. So actually on the video card die itself, where the chip meets the GPU cooling unit, we'd still use our same Arctic Silver, right? We'd still use our same thermal compound. But what about your RAM chips? What about your VRMs? What about that type of stuff? Well, that also does produce heat. So that's where we get into these thermal pads. These are fantastic because they won't dry out. And really, we use these a lot more on laptops because a manufacturer will take a heatsink and they'll put that same heatsink for the CPU. They'll tie it to the CPU, they'll tie it to the GPU, and then they'll also tie it to any of the RAM modules or the VRAM modules that the GPU or CPU required also underneath that heatsink. And what'll happen is those little thermal pads will start to dry out and break down over time. So it's always good to have a couple replacements on hand. And they come in these little itty-bitty square varieties, and for some of my industrial applications, I need something a little bit bigger, so I've got the little bit bigger ones as well. So guys, I think that's going to cover everything in Tools of the Trade segment for this one. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. As always, thanks for watching.